Hello, my name is Victor Eman, and welcome to the second part in the dDo tutorial series. The goal of this series is to give you a solid understanding of dDo and its workflow by taking you through the steps needed to texture an entire scene within minutes. In this part, I will explain the differences between the Environment and Material tab, how to take advantage of one of dDo's most powerful features, which is material presets, and how to set up your color maps. What you see here is a texture I generated, which contains both environmental details and material details. Right now I'm in the Environment tab. The reason why it's called environmental details is because the details you put here will be accumulated all over the entire texture, which in turn simulates the fact that the asset has been located in a certain environment. All these details can be rearranged in order to achieve different results. You can, for example, switch the order of a dust detail with acid corrosion, if you want the dust to have accumulated after the corrosion happened, or vice versa. Now we're looking at the Material tab. This is where you can split up your texture into groups in order to refine different surface types and specify reflectance values for them. You can also apply details specific to each material group, letting you further define the material type. By selecting a material group, you can instantly change the reflectance values by using the Quick Reflectance dropdown and choosing a predefined material type. This will change the color values of both diffuse, speck, and gloss. Right, so now I'm going to generate the same texture again, but without a color map, to further demonstrate the importance of material presets and the use of color maps. I'm simply loading my normal map, ambient occlusion and object space normals. I'm also hooking up my low poly mesh so that I can preview what I'm doing directly in Photoshop. Next, I'm choosing a very simple environment preset containing just a small amount of details. And there we go. As you can see, the details are loaded with the environment preset or applied all over the texture, and it does not provide much material definition. If I want to add colors and material definition to the texture without the use of a color map, I'll have to do it manually by using the custom texture layers provided by dDo. While this is possible, it does take quite a bit longer and is more difficult to control across the diffuse, speck and gloss, and is really not a recommended workflow. However, if you do not have the option to bake a color map from a high poly, dDo includes swatches for Photoshop to make manual color map creation easier. While a color map isn't needed for assets consisting of only one material, more complex assets like this one almost requires it. So next I'm going to show you how to create a color map. So to generate a color map, I will load the FBX file included with dDo. You can find the FBX in the dDo directory under the folder named swatches. Importing the FBX file will load a whole array of materials that I can apply to my high poly. And all the materials are named so that you can easily find what you're looking for. This FBX can be loaded into any 3D application. Simply select the objects or components that you want the material to be applied to, and apply the material. I'm going to fast forward a bit while I apply the colors to the high poly. By assigning dDo's material swatches, the color map is guaranteed to provide you with the correct reflectance values from the preset for super fast material definition. Alright, so now that we have the colors applied, it's time to bake our color map. I'm using Maya for this example, but there are similar solutions in most 3D applications. To open the baking options, go to the render panel, then under lighting, shading, open up the transfer maps window. Next, simply set up your target and source meshes. Target is a low poly and source is the high poly. Make sure you set the output maps to diffuse and not diffuse shaded. Then go into Maya Common Output and set the quality and resolution. And next just click Bake and wait for it. And there we go. Let's hook it up to the low poly and preview it. That's perfect. Let's open it up and see what it looks like. Next, I'm going to repeat this step for the second part of this mesh, and I'll see you back in dDo. Okay, so now that my color map is done, I will set up a new project where I specify it in the color slot. I'm using quick load in order to input many maps at the same time. Next, I'm selecting the quick and dirty environment preset to get a good base to work from. And for the material, I'm going with the quick reflectance preset. To get the expected reflectance values, make sure you choose match materials by color and not weight. This will match the material preset's materials to yours based on the colors, ensuring that you get the correct values for your material groups. The weight option bases the material groups and its reflectance values on how many pixels a certain color takes up of the document, which is not always predictable. Now that the project has been generated, depending on what material preset you loaded, you might want to go into the Material tab and change the colors and reflectance values to make it look like you want it. You can also hold down D, S or G for diffuse spec and gloss while clicking on your mesh in the previewer to select the material group that way instead. As soon as we have the base reflectance values where we want them, it's time to add some details to further define the different materials. To do this, simply go to the material group you want to add a detail to and click Add a Detail. Details used in material groups work exactly the same as they do in the Environment tab. The only difference is that they will only be applied on that material group. When working with materials, keep in mind what I said before about the environment details always being on top of the details you add in the Material tab. Once happy with the environment and material, it's a good time to save the presets. This will allow you to apply these presets to an endless amount of assets in the future by using the batch rendering feature in the Automation Hub. And to save, simply click Save Preset in the Environment and Material tabs. These presets can now be applied to any asset you want, and the results will always be predictable as long as you use the same color scheme. And there we go! I hope you learned something from this tutorial. The next one will be focusing on custom details and layer effects. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.